Hey everybody, Intuitive Tuesday. So I've been wanting to do a video for a number of days. I attempted on Saturday when some remote viewing and dreams were coming through, and unfortunately my phone said this isn't happening for you. So without getting into details, just a lot of electronical glitches, one after the other, and things would just vanish and disappear. So as I was explaining last Tuesday, which was the 7th, I think, in the afternoon, there was a huge energy shift and a crash that I went through, and then just kind of, wobbled the waves throughout the week. And then Friday night, again, another little bit of a shift. And so there was like this deep, heavy barometer is what it felt like to me. So Saturday morning, I woke early and then went back to sleep and went straight into remote viewing in all these places. And I saw a man from a distance, and I decided, let me zoom in there and see if I can look at every little line and just start, developing more skill. And so I got up close, like right in his face. And when I did, he was like, "I know something's here. Get away from me. I will curse you." And I'm like, oh crap, he senses I'm there. So I immediately showered him with love, just a lot of love, and then disappeared. I did. So my point on that is, when you sense something is around you, just because it feels weird doesn't mean it is weird and it's harmful. So if you already know that you're surrounded by the protective barrier, and you also know that the veils are thinning, and that we have the capability of zooming in all around, as well as the beings on the other side in the light bodies do as well, and nobody's really there to do you harm, if you can look at it that way. So maybe the next time something enters, just say in your mind's eye, I recognize something's here. I know I'm fully in the protection of love. What is it that you're here to teach me or share? It could just be that someone just came in to observe, like I did on that particular person, who I have no idea who it was. Then I went off into a place where I was in the water, and one of those, like shale shells, teeny tiny, floated up and then went into the bed of the sea. And then I sensed a being coming from the water towards me, and I got frightened and I jumped out. And then it popped its head up and it looked across between a seal and a dolphin and a shark. And then I remembered, I'm consciousness. It cannot hurt me. So I zoomed in and got real close and just looked as an observer. And it just kind of looked at me. And then the whole ground behind me was filled with water. And then all these beings, these snake beings and things, came up from under the ground. And they started moving. And then I got scared and tried to run towards the house. And when I did, I stepped on something and it wouldn't come off my foot. And when I lifted my foot, it was like a snake head. But these snakes look a cross between a snake, a dragon, and a dinosaur. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I just killed one, or something happened. And so I still kept running. And when I did, I looked down and there was this giant zebra-like looking on its belly, I thought was a snake. And I kept running and I was beside it. Next thing I know, I'm being lifted in the air and moved over and sat down. And when I looked down, this being's head was in a U-turn. So it had moved me and then it went back straight. And then all of a sudden, all the water disappeared and everything became mud, and the mud became dry and everything sunk down underneath. And then I'm talking to someone and I sense something, and I look over and I see that one of these snake, dinosaur, dragon beings didn't make it all the way under. and that it was still alive. And I went to it and I got into its face and I could see its mouth moving and the bubbles coming out of the mouth. And I'm hearing water, water. So I went and got water and then I just woke right up. And then the next day, another remote viewing came where I was in my room, and I get a lot of beings in my room all the time. And so this time I just happened to see an outline of a cat, and I just reached up and grabbed it, and it became this life-size, fully developed, like domestic tabby, and I was petting its stomach and so on. And then later that day, I remembered that I had had a session with someone and a guide came in, and later in the session when I could look at the guide's face, it had this cat Lyran looking face. So immediately dawned on me, I was like, I knew the guide's name and so on. So I tapped in immediately and asked and confirmed it with my pendulum. And so all these answers are coming to and fro. And then later in the day, I picked a card called Course Correction and Alignment. And I thought, oh, I'm course correcting, blah, blah, blah. But actually what it was about was it was correcting the neurological function, the perceptual center, the nervous system, and genetic stabilization to allow myself to move into my mission. So that was Friday night, I actually did that. And then Saturday, these remote viewing and dreams came in, and then Sunday, the same thing. And then yesterday is Monday. And so I'm driving in my car and I'm at a stoplight and I go to look at my phone. And out of here is all this flashing. There's just all this flashing. And I'm thinking, gosh, what is reflecting, right? And I thought, gosh, is something reflecting off the screen of my phone? So I turned my phone over and I put it down. And then it started above in this eye. And then I'm like, holy moly, what is going on? I look up in the sky for guidance from my guides and I'm seeing this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, let's not ignore physical health. So with my background, I also knew that that can be symptoms of, stroking, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, don't let me ignore this. What is happening? And I immediately got, no, Sandy, you're fine. You're fine. It's energy that's happening. You're just being able to see it more, and you're being able to see what's coming off of the sun. And I was like, okay. So as I'm driving and I'm getting closer to home, I know that I'm going to be alone. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I should text this to someone what I'm experiencing just in case something happened. And so let me just say this. By the time I got to the light near my house, I had a burst of cortisol because I did a little mini flight shot of cortisol is what I did. And I had to really work on overriding that and really getting into my sympathetic nervous system and allowing myself to remember I am safe, that I trust, that my guides are always there, that anything and everything that's going to occur is for my highest good. And I didn't come here for anything to happen like that. So I got home, I made sure I ate a little bit of protein, drank some water, I sat out in the sun for a little bit, talked with my guides, got everything all copacetic and homeostasis, and so on. And of course, now we're at the full moon. I wake up bright and early this morning. I listen to a meditation, a live one, and then I'm just getting a lot of things done in my baseball cap today because there's things I have to do on the home front and elsewhere, and it's rainy and kind of over like humidity and all that here in DC. So here's my point about all this. There's a whole lot of changing going on. It's everything that you've asked for. And there are gifts and talents that are arising within you because you've been working on them. So they're going up to another level. And so, be careful what you ask for because when it shows up, it can freak you the F out. And that's kind of what happened yesterday. I was like, holy shit, what is going on? Anywho, I'm still seeing, they came back today. There's some stuff going on. But if I look back at my site changes just in the last, let's just say, couple months, I've had lighter versions of what I just saw yesterday. Now, my guide is up there, and I see him plain as day with some other guides, animal-like guides, and they're constantly doing energy work. And so what I saw was my guide bringing in other guides, and he was literally gathering them around and like putting them into placement. And I was like, okay. So when I had this epiphany that this cat guide was the Lyran guide that I saw in a session a few weeks ago and got the name, then I also checked in at the same time and asked if new guides were being rearranged and other guides were going out of my circle. And I got a yes. And then I got, is that why I have felt grieving? Really a lot of grieving, like started Friday, where I just busted into tears, in the evening, like I'm grieving with something that I'm not sure what it is. And I got a big yes. I confirmed it with my pendulum and a few other ways that I confirm things. So there's a lot of things shifting around. And you're not going to understand every bit of it in the linear aspect. But what's the one thing you can always do to get a clearer bird's eye view of what's happening is stop, drop, sit, connect with the breath, connect with that nervous system, know that you're safe, you can trust, and allow the breath to expand the DNA knowledge within you. To expand the DNA knowledge that's within you. Because as the veils thin there, they're thinning in all the cellular memories. So things can come up that are good, bad, or indifferent. And things can come up that are heightened, or a new angle of what you might be hearing, seeing, sensing, touching, smelling, whatever it is. Your connection is always there. So understand, first and foremost, that you're okay. And the one way to do that and to let the rest of your bodies know everything's okay is to connect with that breath and to accept the love that you're being showered with and the love that's coming out of you that you're showering on everything else. So it's pretty simple. Well, so much love to each and every one of you. Please like, subscribe, and share. Leave me a comment. Let me know that this message is helpful to you. I really appreciate it. And if there's anything I can do for you, my website is always in the description. And I'm always available. All right, bye.